Hey guys, today you're gonna learn how to properly activate your transverse abdominis, your deepest core muscle, deepest and or one of your deepest core muscles. The transverse abdominis is actually sitting behind your rectus. So when people say, I want abs, usually they're talking about your rectus abdominis, which is the six-pack ab muscle. We'll put that figure right here. But that six-pack ab muscle is just one component of your core. You also have your transverse abdominis, your multifidi, your erector spinae, which sit in the back, your quadratus lumborum, your pelvic floor, and so many other things that we could talk about. But for this video, we're gonna stick with the transverse abdominis, or sometimes I refer to it as the TVA. So the transverse abdominis literally looks like a corset. So if you've ever seen people do the waist trainers, it's because they're trying to slim their waist. The waist trainers literally deform, truly deform your rib cage and pull your rib cage in so that you have more of that slender figure. But again, if you look at the transverse abdominis muscle, it looks like a waist trainer. So if you can, roll down your pants, get in front of a mirror, and meet me on your mat. Okay, so I'm starting seated. So if you have a block, grab one and place it underneath your sits bone so that you're just comfortable and you're not feeling any tension in your hips here. So I want you to go ahead and again, roll your pants down. This is really important. Imagine that there's a mirror in front of me so I can see myself. Again, this is your corset muscle. So you're gonna see this cinching in of your waist. The transverse abdominis helps you expel air from your lungs. So you can feel it activate on an exhale. So we're just gonna breathe. I want you to go ahead and sit up nice and tall, get nice and zen, shoulders back and away from the ears. The tendency when people are trying to activate their TVA is for them to round into their spine. But your rectus abdominis is actually the flexor of your spine. So if you find yourself rounding, you're cheating, because rounding into your spine is again an action of your rectus abdominis. It looks like an accordion, it folds in, your spine flexes, that's your rectus. So in order to avoid that, I like to either cue people to sit up nice and tall and then just figure out that action of belly button pulling into your spine, or start rounded. So we're just gonna start rounded so your rectus, like it's already active, okay? And I want you to focus just right now, close your eyes and exhale your air out of your lungs. So I'm gonna take a big inhale, big full exhale. And it might be really slight on you, but you're feeling the action of your belly collapsing in. So again, big inhale, rounding into your spine. Big exhalation. Again, you're not looking to be sexy here. You're looking to be functional. So round into your spine, and this time I want you to feel your hands on your belly. And if you know how to do a diaphragmatic breath, lead with an inhalated diaphragmatic breath followed by an exhale, slight pull in. You're gonna feel that belly collapse. So big inhale, big exhale. You should feel the slight collapse of your belly on the exhalation. So let me know in the comments down below if you feel it or if you're having trouble, and maybe I can help guide you. So now we're gonna turn up the dial of that exhale. So I'm gonna show you the example, but essentially you're gonna exhale all of your air out of your lungs until you can't anymore. So that looks, a lot of people think it looks like this. But it actually looks like I almost get a little lightheaded. And the reason that we're doing that is again because the transverse abdominis helps expel air out of our lungs. So in order for you to feel that contraction, expelling your air out of your lungs to that capacity allows you to feel the tightness of your core, the transverse abdominis working in its fullest capacity. And I was just telling our cameraman, Eric, about this right before we started this video, but the reason that the exhale exists when we're exerting force, like if we're lifting something, you inhale, you bring, you lower down, you exhale, you lift it up, is because your transverse abdominis, when the exhale comes in, your transverse contracts, your pelvic floor slightly and naturally should lift. So it's a protective mechanism so that when we're increasing intra-abdominal pressure or lifting heavy weight, your TVA will naturally contract slightly and your pelvic floor naturally lifts so that everything is protected. Your internal organs don't fall out of your body. You don't pee yourself when you lift, things of that nature. So I want you to start to try that again, that exercise, hands on the belly. And again, if you know how to diaphragmatically breathe, go ahead and do it. And I am hopefully gonna make a diaphragmatic video very soon, but for now we're doing TVA. So you're gonna just take a big inhale, sitting up nice and tall this time, chest over hips, exhale fully. Fully, keep going. Keep going, keep going, don't stop. Feel your core cinch in. And then I want you to take, this sounds so odd, but take your finger, hold at the bottom, take your finger to your belly button and feel the tension in your core. Nice, relax and release, shake it out. Did you feel the tension in your core? Yes or no, let me know. So the reason I like, this is so crude to say, fingering the belly button, is because right now, like if you're sitting and you're relaxed, you should feel this kind of trampoline-like texture in your belly button, this very soft, kind of bouncy, but if your TVA is engaged, that texture should turn hard. So it's a really good way to check if your TVA is working. And if you are in a mirror, I want you to turn to the side and I want you to watch yourself. Are you rounding into your spine while you're doing this? Are you activating your rectus? Or are you doing your transverse abdominis? Sitting up nice and tall, chest over hips. Let's try it again. I'll guide you through it. Take a big inhale. Full exhalation. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep pushing until you can't anymore. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Go ahead and take a finger to the belly button. Nice. Do you feel it? Great. Relax, let it go. Perfect. So that is your TVA working. There's layers to this, but now I want you to imagine that same action of exhaling, and I want you to do a little bit faster. So we're gonna take an inhale, and then exhale. I want you to feel your belly button pulling in towards your spine and up into your rib cage. Okay? So it's gonna look like this. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. It's almost like a snapping of a rubber band back from your belly button in towards your spine. So when you are in Pilates, and they love to say, pull your belly button into your spine, they're actually saying activate your transverse abdominis, just nobody really explains what that is. So sitting up nice and tall, chest over hips in a seated position, big inhale, fast exhale. Pull the belly button into the spine. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Go ahead and let it go. You might feel a little lightheaded. The ultimate exercise now is to be able to, what I call snap technique, which is to be able to pull in your belly button in towards your spine without having to do the exhale. So the breath, if you feel stuck and you feel like you can't do that, meaning like if I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you as I am now, that I can just pull in my belly button into my spine, I don't really think about it. Like I can just do it and talk to you guys. So my transverse is active, I'm sitting up nice and tall, my TVA is engaged as I talk to you. Oftentimes when I teach people this for the first time, they're talking like this because it's so hard and they've never done it before. It's really hard to breathe. But that's because you don't have the mind-body connection yet. So to get that mind-body connection, you can either stay with a breath, big inhale, exhale, fast, and feel the TVA pulling in. the air expelling out of your lungs, the tightening of your core, the slight lift of your pelvic floor. But if you can, I want you to try to breathe normally, sitting up nice and tall, and snap technique on my cue. So you're gonna snap slightly in, belly button pulls in towards your spine, lifts slightly into your rib cage. Again, you can do this with the breath, and then I want you to relax and release. So cameraman, can you see that? It's a slight snap in, and then a release. So a slight snap in, and a release. So the next phase is a pulse of that. How fast can we pulse our snap? How long can we hold it? And how big of a contraction can we get? So I want you to pulse with, actually we're gonna start with a hold. So I want you to take your snap. You can do it in an exhale and hold. We're gonna hold for 10, for 9, for 8, for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let it go. Oh my God. If you do that, it is such a core workout. When people are like, oh, I'm doing so much core exercise, I'm doing crunches and all these things. I'm like, well, try to hold a transverse abdominis contraction for 10 seconds. And I promise you it's harder than most of the core exercises we are traditionally taught to do. So now we are going to focus on holding that, or excuse me, pulsing. So what that looks like is pulse, snap, then release. So we're gonna do 10 of those. If you can follow, we'll go fairly slow. So on my cue, when you're ready, you're gonna snap it in, snap it out, snap it in, let it go. Snap it in, let it go. In, let it go. In, let it go. 4 more. In, let it go. In, let it go. 2 more. In, let it go. Last one, in, let it go. If you felt that, you feel good with that, then you can move on. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get that mind-body connection yet, I can't do it without the breath, it's totally fine. Again, this is muscle-body, mind to muscle connection, excuse me. You're connecting your brain to this muscle that's usually not ever talked about, nor is it very active. So stay with the breath, but if you're feeling good with that and you want to move on to the next thing, then meet me in the next scene. Okay, so you're gonna meet me prone, lying down. I have my mic on, so I might not be able to go all the way, but so being prone on your mat, I want you to go ahead and rest your forearms on the ground. And I can't go all the way down, but I want you to bring your head down to the ground. And essentially, what you're gonna look for now that you have that mind-body connection, I want you to try to lift your transverse abdominis off of the ground. You're gonna be able to see it on me. If you have a little bit more love in your body, that's totally fine. And if your belly doesn't come off the ground, no worries whatsoever. But we're using the floor as feedback to feel our transverse abdominis lift away energetically. So on me, it looks like this. It's slight. So I'm gonna lift away my belly button from the floor, and then I'm gonna release. I'm gonna lift it away, and then I'm gonna release it. Lift and release. Again, you'll feel a slight contraction of your pelvic floor. Lift and release. So just like we did before, I want you to find a couple of pulses here. So you're pulsing maybe for 10, you're holding for 10, and find your strongest contraction and try to see what that feels like in your body. So that's the exercise. So 10 pulses, a 10-second hold. So that is prone. And I love this position because you can truly feel your transverse abdominis lift away from the mat. Your face, I want your face down and I want you relatively relaxed. And the reason this is so important is because I'm a yogi and I do lots of things like our bow pose. But if I'm in my bow, I'm just really contracting my erector spinae, my back muscles. Now look at here, I am kind of bloated out into my belly. Whereas if I activate my TVA, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually supporting my spine and I'm getting some more core engagement. So same thing here, if I'm in my Sphinx, yes, I can relax into my core, but if I wanted some core work here, I could go from here, a relaxed TVA, to a contracted TVA. Can you see that? Fantastic. All right. If you are prone, meet me in a supine position on your back. I want you to lay down and find a good pelvic position here. So you're gonna neutralize your pelvis. So you're not gonna go too anterior, you're not gonna go too posterior. I want you to find that Goldilocks position right in between. And I'm just gonna place my arms up so that you guys can see my pelvis. But you can bring your arms down to the side. Again, if you have a mirror, fantastic, go ahead and look in the mirror. So find that neutral position, and same thing, I want you to pull the belly button into your spine, then release. Pull the belly button into the spine, then release. Pull it in, release. So 10 times and then a 10-second hold. So again, oftentimes here, we're doing crunches, which is gonna be our next move, and people don't think about that action, pulling your belly button into the spine, and you'll notice it's a lot harder in this position, at least in my opinion, to pull your belly button into your spine because you've got a lot going on. Most women have slight anterior tilt of their pelvis, so it's a little bit harder to hold this position and then pull the belly button in. Now, remember, we're not rib flaring here, so we're not opening up our ribs. We're actually gonna bring the sternum down as well. So sternum is down slightly, then I want you to pull the belly button in the spine and release. Pull it in, release. Fantastic. Moving on. Last but not least, so when people are doing ab exercises, typically they're talking about doing these kinds of things. Bicycles, crunches, all those crazy movements. But remember, that is your rectus abdominis. That flexing of the spine is your rectus abdominis working. It's your six-pack ab muscle flexing. So anytime you're rounding, that is your six-pack abs. Now you can also work your transverse abdominis in conjunction with your rectus to get the abs that you want, but you have to be conscious of it. So that's what we're gonna do today. So meeting me in that supine position, feet hip distance, knees up. We're gonna come into a crunch. And I want you to notice what my core does if I don't activate my TVA. And I've actually untrained this, but we'll put some images of bread doming. You can kind of see, and I don't know, cameraman, if you want to come up and see it from like the top view, but this is called bread doming. And it's when my core is poking out and there's no TVA action happening here. Can you kind of see that? Like it's just going up. Whereas if my transverse is working, I'm pulling it in. So crazy, it's so much harder. So I want you to take a big inhale. You can kind of relax your pelvis, shake it out, and exhale. Go ahead and crunch it up and allow yourself to kind of bread dome at first so you can see it. Then actively pull your belly button into your spine and give yourself a sexy double chin so that you don't hurt your neck. So I want you to notice what it looks like to see your TVA. Pull in and up. Then bring it down. No, Mike. Pull it in. Or excuse me, bring it up and then pull it in. So the next time you're doing your crunches and you're just going for it, like it's gonna look like this, I want you to slow it down, even if the teacher is saying, speed it up. Slow it down, notice if you're bread doming, and then activate your TVA instead. So those are a few different exercises that you can do to activate your transverse abdominis if you're just starting out learning what this muscle is. Let me know if that was helpful. Comment, like, subscribe, and if you want another transverse abdominis tutorial, let me know.